Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Shiksharunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatya Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is the verse 1087.
You can read the verse.
Okay.
Chant the verse.
Bruhad upalabdam ethad avayanti avekshatayam yatha udayasatam ayau vikruter mrudi vivikrutat atha rushayo dadustvai mano vachana charitam katam ayatha bhavanti bhuvi tattha padani nunam. I'll go to the translation. The perceivable world is identified with the Supreme because the Supreme Brahman is the ultimate foundation of all existence, remaining unchanged as all created beings are generated from it and at last dissolved into it. Just as clay remains unchanged by the products made from it and again merged with it, thus it is toward you alone that the Vedic sages direct all their thoughts, words, and acts. After all, how can the footsteps of men fail to touch the earth on which they live?
Okay, there's no purport.
Yeah, there is no big purport. Oh, I think this is the purport actually. Yeah, I put that.
This is the purport?
Yeah, it's good.
There may be some doubt as to whether the Vedic mantras are unanimous when identifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After all, some mantras state Indro Yato Vasistasya Raja. Indra is the king of all moving and non-moving beings. While others say Agnir Murdha Divaha. Agni is the chief of the heavens. And yet other mantras point to different deities as absolute. It would seem then that the Vedas present a polytheistic worldview. Answering this doubt, Vedas themselves explain in this verse that there can be only one source of universal creation, called Brahman or Brahad, the greatest, which is the singular truth underlying and pervading all existence. No finite deity, Indra or Agni, can fulfill this unique role, nor would the Shrutis be so ignorant as to propose such an idea. As indicated here by the word Tvai, Lord Vishnu alone is the absolute truth. Indra and other demigods may be glorified in various ways, but they possess only those powers Lord Vishnu has granted them. The Vedic sages understand that this entire world, including Indra, Agni, and everything else perceivable by the eyes, ears, and other senses, is identical with the one supreme truth, the personality of Godhead, who is called Brihat, the greatest, because he is Avasesha, the ultimate substance that remains from the Lord. Everything expands at creation, and into him everything dissolves at annihilation. He exists before and after the material manifestation as the constant basis known to philosophers as the ingredient cause, upadana. Despite the fact that countless manifestations emanate from him, the Supreme Lord exists eternally unchanged, an idea that Shruti specifically emphasized here with the word avikrutat. The word smriti allude to a famous analogy spoken by Uddalaka to his son Svetaketu in the Chandogya Upanishad. Vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam Vrittiketi eva satyam. The objects of the material world exist merely as names, transformations defined by language, whereas the ingredient cause, like the clay from which pots are made, is the actual reality. A mass of clay is the ingredient cause of various pots, statues, and so on, but the clay itself remains in its essence unchanged. Eventually, the pots and other objects will be destroyed and return to the clay from which they came. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the total ingredient cause, and he remains eternally untouched by transformation. This is the purport of the statement Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Everything is Brahman. Wondering at this mystery, the great devotee Gajendra prayed, Namo Namaste Akila Karanaya, Nishkaranaya, Adbhuta Karanaya. Obeisances again and again to you, the source of all creation. You are the inconceivable cause of all causes, and of you there is no other cause. Prakriti, material nature, is often considered the ingredient cause of creation in Western science as well as in the Vedas. Does not contradict the higher fact of the Supreme Lord's being the final cause, since Prakriti is his energy and is herself subject to change. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2 24.19, Lord Krishna says, Prakritir yasyopadanam adharaha purushaha paraha sato abhivyanjaka kalo brahmatat tritayatam tva aham. The material universe is real, having Prakriti as its original ingredient and final state. Lord Mahavishnu is the resting place of nature, which becomes manifest by the power of time. Thus, nature, the Almighty Vishnu, and the time are non different from me, the Supreme Absolute Truth. Prakriti, however, undergoes transformation, while her Lord, the Supreme Purusha, does not. Prakriti is the personality of Godhead's external energy, but he has another energy, this internal energy, which is Swarupa Bhuta, non different from his very essence. The Lord's internal energy, like himself, is never subject to change. Therefore, the mantras of the Vedas, along with the rishis who have received these mantras in meditation and transmitted them for the benefit of mankind, direct their attention primarily towards the personality of Godhead. The Vedic sages direct the activities of their minds and words, that is to say, the inner as well as the literal meaning of their utterances, first of all towards Him, and only secondarily towards separated transformations of Prakriti, such as Indra and other demigods. Just as a man's footsteps, whether placed on mud, stone, or bricks, cannot fail to touch the surface of the earth. So, whatever the Vedas discuss within the realm of material generation, they relate to the absolute truth. Mundane literature describes limited phenomena, disregarding the relation of its subjects to the total reality, but the Vedas always focus their perfect vision on the Supreme. As the Chandogya Upanishad affirms in its statements, Vrittiketi eva satyam and sarva kalvidam brahma, reality is understood properly when everything is seen to be dependent on Brahman, the absolute, for its existence. Brahman alone is real, not because nothing we see in this world is real, but because Brahman is the absolute, final cause of everything. Thus, the word Satyam, as used in the phrase Vrittiketeva Satyam, has been identified in another context as ingredient cause by no less an authority than Lord Krishna himself. Yad upadaya purvastu bhavo vikrute param adir anto yada yasya tat satyam abhidhiyate. A material object itself, composed of an essential ingredient, creates another material object through transformation. In this way, one created object becomes the cause and basis of another created object. A particular thing may be called real in that it possesses the basic nature of another object that constitutes its cause and original state. Explaining the word Brahman, Prabhupada writes in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Brahman indicates the greatest of all and the maintainer of everything. The impersonalists are attracted by the greatness of the sky, but because they are poor fund of knowledge, they are not attracted by the greatness of Krishna. In our practical life, however, we are attracted by the greatness of a person not by the greatness of a big mountain. Actually, the term Brahman actually applies to Krishna only. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna admitted that Krishna is Parabrahman, or the supreme rest of everything. Krishna is the supreme Brahman because of his unlimited knowledge, unlimited potencies, unlimited strength, unlimited influence, unlimited beauty, and unlimited renunciation. Therefore, the word Brahman can be applied to Krishna only. Arjuna affirms that because the impersonal Brahman is effulgence emanating as the rays of Krishna's transcendental body, Krishna is the Parabrahman. Everything is resting on Brahman, but Brahman itself is resting on Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the ultimate Brahman or Parabrahman. The material elements are accepted as inferior energy of Krishna because by their interaction, the cosmic manifestation takes place, rests on Krishna, and after its dissolution again enters into the body of Krishna. As this subtle energy, Krishna is therefore the cause of death. In summary, Srila Sridhar Swami says, Druhina Vahini Ravindra Mukamra Jagadidam na bhavet prutak uttitam Vahumukhair api mantra ganer ajas Tvam urumurtir ato vinigadyase. The demigods headed by Shiva, Agni, Surya and Indra, and indeed all beings in the universe, do not come into existence independently of you. The mantras of the Vedas, though they speak from various viewpoints, all speak about you, the unborn Lord appearing in numerous forms. Uh, this this chapter, personified Vedas, prayers by personified Vedas, is a very important chapter in Krishna book and 10th Canto Bhagavatam. There is one Acharya in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, Narayana Acharya. He's a he lived in now he was no more. He lived in Melkote in Karnataka. There, one of our devotees, Sevadal Prabhu, he used to consult him for Vidhi Vidhan in deity worship. They learnt. So that time he told, after reading Krishna book, this chapter by personified Vedas, prayers by personified Vedas, translated by Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book, then he said, this is the most difficult chapter. The personality who translated this chapter must be a great scholar, both in English and Sanskrit. The way Srila Prabhupada summarized this chapter is amazing. I have read it many times. I request all the devotees to read the chapter again and again because entire philosophy Srila Prabhupada wrote in this chapter, Krishna consciousness philosophy. So, this is the ultimate prayers by personified Vedas. They are associates of Lord Shri Krishna, and then later on, after praying, after these prayers, the personified Vedas, they became gopis, and then they took part in rasa dance. They are called Shrudichari gopis. Shrudichari gopis. So, Srila Prabhupada enumerated many philosophical points. In the end, I will tell you one very interesting thing that Krishna, why Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like in this verse, the glorification of demigods and all is there. So, in this regard, Srila Prabhupada writes in 8th Canto Bhagavatam, when demigods worship Lord Shiva, or sometimes some devotees they worship Brahma and they glorify him as supreme, but actually they are glorifying Krishna only because Krishna has invested his potency in these demigods. So when you read 8th Canto Bhagavatam, during the uh, drinking of poison by Lord Shiva. So that time, all the demigods they go to Lord Shiva and glorify him as the supreme. But actually, that glorification is meant for Krishna only. So in the same way, when some devotees they glorify Brahma, and that glorification is meant for Krishna only. So we should not misunderstand that way. In the same way here also. So um, please remember, I will tell. Prabhupada gave a very interesting analysis in this chapter about Krishna. Krishna is the possessor of uh, Shad Aishwarya. It means six opulences, all of you know. Then six opulences. And then Krishna is full of Ashta Yoga Siddhis, eight Yoga Siddhis. And then Krishna possesses Ashta Divya Gunas, eight transcendental qualities. So I will tell you, you can note down. Number one, Krishna is apapa viddham. Apapa viddham. Krishna is never touched by any sinful reactions. Bhakti Rasam Sindhu also Prabhupada defines what is pure. Krishna is completely pure. In that section, Prabhupada writes that one who one who is not affected by any sinful reactions, and number two, uh, anybody who chants his name, they also get purified. That is called completely pure. He is never affected by any sinful reactions. That is, Krishna is apa with them. And then number two, Krishna never becomes old. Srila Prabhupada explains that at the time of Kurukshetra war, Krishna is about more than 100 years old. But Bhishma Dev described Krishna's beauty as Tribhuvana Kamanam, Tamalavarnam, Ravikara Gauravar Ambara Dadane, Papuralka Kala Vratanam Abjam, Vijaya Sakera Tirastu Me Anvadaya. So when Krishna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in front of Bhishma, Krishna was standing. Bhishma is describing the beauty of Krishna. Tribhuvana Kamanam, Tamalavarnam, Ravikara Gauravaram Dadane, Vapuralka Kala Vratanam Vijay Sakhera Tirastumi Anmutaya. So he was looking like a 16-year-old boy, and then he is the most beautiful person of all the three worlds. Bhishma Dev described Krishna as, so he is not an old man. So he had many grandchildren, great grandchildren, but still Krishna looked like 16-year-old boy. So when Srila Prabhupada went to Parthsarathi Mandir in Chennai, Madras at that time, so he saw Parthsarathi having mustache. So Prabhupada said, this is not bona fide because 16-year-old boys, they don't have mustaches. you know so uh, they so Krishna did not, so he's just 16-year-old boy. So Krishna never becomes old. And then number three, Krishna never dies. You know, there is a pastime where in Mahabharat, Mausal Leela is there. So Prabhupada explains it is actually bewildering to. It is to in order to bewilder atheistic people. Krishna performed that pastime of leaving the body and all that, but Krishna never dies, right? Uh, Number four, Krishna never doesn't have any lamentation. Number five, Krishna never doesn't feel hungry. Number six, Krishna doesn't feel thirsty. Number seven, whatever he does, they are lawful. They are lawful. And number eight, whatever Krishna wants to do, nobody can stop him from doing what he wants to do. Right? These are the eight transcendental qualities. Then Srila Prabhupada concludes that because Krishna is full of six opulences, Krishna is perfect in all yoga siddhis. That's why he's known as Yogeshwara. And then Krishna possesses these 8 Divya Gunas. That's why he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uh, can anybody recollect what are the 8 transcendent qualities of Krishna?
He's never hungry,
Prabhu,
shy. He's never
One
thirsty.
person. Tell me. Yeah. Yeah. First one. Please repeat.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna never dies is one of the thing. He's never thirsty, never hungry.
Yeah.
No lamentation.
No one can stop him from doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
isn't this all an impersonal view? How is it to have a relationship where one thinks that what one's doing for Krishna matters? If you think he's not hungry, he's never hungry, I'm cooking for him. So how do we justify this with this personal feeling, this ras that we're supposed to have with Krishna, if he doesn't really need us, if he
Questions
doesn't
in the
really
end.
want us, if he can't be stopped by us?
Questions in the end. I will explain.
Thank you.
Uh,
He's always 16 years old. He
yeah.
never
So
goes.
I will repeat. Krishna, apapa viddham. Krishna is never touched by any sinful reactions. Number 2, Krishna never becomes old. Krishna never dies. Krishna doesn't lament. Krishna doesn't feel hungry. Krishna doesn't feel thirsty. Whatever all his desires are lawful. And then number 8, Krishna, whatever he wants to do, nobody can stop him from doing. He is supreme personality of Godhead. And then he is full of 8 Ashtasiddhis, Yogeshwara, and then he is full of 6 opulences. That's why Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Then later on, Srila Prabhupada goes on to describe that Krishna, um, anybody, then he defined what is self-realization. Anybody who um, understands that Krishna is the only worshipable Lord in the entire universe, and I should render all the living entities should render service to him. Anybody who understands these 2 statements, he is a self-realized soul. Srila Prabhupada explains. And then he goes on to explain that these Mayavadis, they want to become one with God. That is why they say that Krishna has a material body. When Krishna comes, he accepts a body made of Sattvagun. So then otherwise they say he is Nirakar, he is formless. Only when Brahman comes in this material world, he comes in the form of Krishna, accepting a material body. Why? Because if Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and his body is transcendental, and these people they already have a limited body, so how can they become God? So, in order to facilitate their philosophy, they say that Krishna has a material body. So, then Prabhupada says, Yesham tva antagatam papam, jananam punyakarmanam, te dvandva moha nirmukta, bhajante mam drudabrata. Those who are finished with all sinful reactions and those who are transcendently pious, they actually can perform devotional service. Then Prabhupada says that these Mayavadis and Karmis, because they are very sinful, they are not finished with sinful reactions. That is why they cannot accept these two statements. What are they? Krishna is the only worshipable Lord. That is number 1. And number 2, all living entities should render service to him. Srila Prabhupada writes in 8th Canto Bhagavatam, seventh canto Bhagavatam, 8th chapter, Srila Prabhupada says, Savai Balam Balinam Chaparesham. In that verse, Prabhupada writes that the understanding that I am an eternal servant of Krishna after millions and millions of lifetimes, one gets the understanding, then one understands, and then one accepts that I am an eternal servant of Krishna. So, this understanding that I am an eternal servant of Krishna comes after, by the good fortune, and then after millions and millions of lifetimes. So, this is not an ordinary thing to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am an eternal servant of Krishna. So, so anybody who understands this, he is a self-willed soul. So all of us, who accept these two statements, we are actually meant to be self-willed souls. Very easy, but it is not easy. Because everybody thinks that I am also Lord. uh, uh, we all understand that Krishna is sitting in our heart. Can we perceive him? We cannot perceive him because Lord Shiva says in 6th canto Bhagavatam, नाहं विरिञ्चि ना कुमारे नारदौ ना ब्रह्मपुत्र सूरयो मुनयोः यद् यस्य यस्य विदामि ना यद् विदामि यस्य ईहित अंशक ना तत् स्वरूपं पृथग् ईशमानिनः. So Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva is teaching to Mother Parvati. He says in this verse that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is very, very difficult to understand him, including Brahma, Naham, myself. Virinchi means Brahma, and then Ashwini Kumaras, Narad Muni, Brahma Kumaras, these four Kumaras, and then all the Munis and the sages also cannot understand his wonderful pastimes. As Ihitam, Amshaka, even though we are part and parcels of Krishna, because Natat Swarupam, we cannot understand his Swarupa, his original Swarupa, because all of us we think Prutagisha Manina. I am a Prutak. Prutak means separate. Isha means Lord. Manina means thinking. We all think, including us also, we all think that I am Lord of all I survey. I am Lord of all I serve. So everybody thinks that is why we cannot understand Krishna, even though Krishna is sitting in our heart. But this, with this understanding, should I tell what? I think 5 more minutes. Yeah. So with this understanding, if you operate that I am an eternal servant of Krishna, then slowly, this idea that I am a uh, I am a Lord of all I survey. Then that feeling will go away. Then Krishna will reveal to all in our heart, like that. And regarding to Prabhuji's question, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti explains in 10th Canto Bhagavatam, I think 12th or 13th chapter, Brahma Vimohan Leela, that Lord Narayana, uh, um, you know, senses, interchange, they act interchangingly. But when Krishna comes, for the pleasure of all the gopis and the gopas, he acts like a ordinary child out of his love for Mother Yashoda and others. So his eyes, Anganiyasya Sakalendri Vrittimant. So, but when Krishna, in the case of Krishna, Krishna sees with his eyes, Krishna hears with his ears. Krishna does all his activities with the hands. All his, he works like that, like an ordinary child. Then also, because of out of great love for Mother Yashoda, he feels hungry, he feels thirsty. When he becomes angry, when Mother Yashoda doesn't give milk on time, we see the Damodar Leela pastime. All this he enacts for the pleasure of the devotees. Of course, he is not acting also out of love, out of love. Otherwise, as a what you call tattva, as the truth, Krishna doesn't feel hungry, Krishna doesn't feel thirsty. That is the truth. But when dealing with the devotees, he comes down and then he acts like a ordinary child. I heard Laghu Bhagavatamrita that it is said that Krishna doesn't perform childhood pastimes in Golok Vrindavan, but he wanted to enjoy the childhood pastimes. That is why he brought all the Mother Yashoda and everybody, and then he came down as a child. Then he performed all these wonderful pastimes. Then Srila Prabhupada writes that one must every day meditate or think or smaran of Krishna's childhood pastimes. Krishna's pastimes, and then Prabhupada says, especially his childhood pastimes. One must meditate, Namrupa Guna Leela.
Prabhu, can I ask a question in regards to this specific inquiry?
Is it clear? Answer is clear?
My question is this. My question is this.
Yeah.
If behind Krishna being a child is the Narayan aspect, doesn't feel hungry, doesn't need our help, doesn't feel lament, cannot be thwarted. If behind Krishna as child, wouldn't that mean that this nature of not needing love and attention becomes larger, becomes a priori, the essence of who God is, who Krishna is, rather than, should we not think of Krishna not as acting as an ordinary child in order to reach out to us, but that he's the beginning of childhood. He is the original child. All children are simply a reflection of him as the original child. So what I'm saying is if we think that, the awe and reverence aspect of Krishna is behind him becoming a child, that he stoops to conquer, meaning he becomes a child in order to reach out to his devotees, rather than he is the original child to whom we should have original feelings of paternal nature to. Can you expand on that, Prabhu?
Thank you. See, in the beginning, we should understand the opulence of Krishna. Prabhupada says, when we hear the opulence of Krishna, that is why Krishna says in 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Etad vibhutim yogam cha mamayo veti tattvataha sa avikalpena yogena yujjate na atra samsayaha. Anybody who understands my opulences, he will perform devotion service without deviation. This is 10th chapter, 7th verse. Then in 8th verse, Krishna goes on to explain in 4 verses, Aham sarvasya prabhuvaha, matta sarvam pravartate, and all that. So Prabhupada says, in the beginning, we must understand the opulences of Krishna, Aishwarya of Krishna. Then we develop faith and love. That is why Krishna says, those who understand my opulence, they will worship me with love. Like that. So in the same way, in the beginning, we should have this understanding of opulence of Krishna. Then, then when we become completely purified of all material desires, of completely become free from bodily concept of life, that time we can actually experience the beauty of Krishna as a child, and beauty of Krishna's childhood pastimes, Krishna's Raslila pastimes, and all that. So now in the beginning, we have to understand the opulence of Krishna. Then slowly, when we become free from then material desires, then only we can go to the stage of experiencing childhood pastimes of Krishna. That time, all these theories and all, they don't work, because the gopis, they don't care, whether Krishna is God or not. like that. Anyway, this is the understanding given by personified Vedas. These qualities are enumerated by personified Vedas. So this is the understanding.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hear us, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Sample room, please louder. Or
Hare Krishna, can you hear us okay?
yeah, move the device closer. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Wonderful class. We see your delight in glorifying Krishna. He's asking a very profound question, and you've answered it nicely, that out of love, Krishna acts in a certain way. When Yogamaya comes in, Prabhupada tells us, foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. How to maintain the fact that Krishna is completely independent and totally self-satisfied, and yet Mother Jasoda is thinking, if I don't feed him, he'll die. How to hold those two things in the mind. When Yogamaya comes in, like you said very nicely, the gopis, they don't care. Mother Jasoda really is, because of her heart. We can also become like that, where the Vajara is decorating the deity. We must get the offering on time. We must serve our spiritual master and try to please him. So when that love comes in and Yogamaya comes in, we just don't even see Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Anyway, it's very simply explained. You explained it already. We're just emphasizing. Well, glorious to Srila Prabhupada.
Any other questions? We are finished.
Ask him if that satisfies his
Just
question.
wanted to
Pardon?
I just wanted to thank you, Prabhu. What basically I get from your parsing that out is that it is for our sake that we start with Krishna in the on reverence. It is for ours that we start um, with the opulences of Krishna, so that we learn to have an understanding that he truly is the cynosure of our desire, meaning whatever we desire, to be a parent, to find a lover, to have a friend, that desire ultimately is for Krishna. But at first, we have to begin with becoming aware of Krishna as the all in all. That's what you're saying, Prabhu?
Yeah. So that is why.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
That is why Srila Prabhupada in Mumbai Radharasbihari temple, we worship Radharasbihari very opulently, because Prabhupada told the devotees that you should worship Radha and Krishna like king and the queen. So once Srila Prabhupada was taking darshan, then he said something. After darshan, he said something in the ears of Satsur Maharaj. This I heard from Dasharat Prabhu. Then after that, they asked Satsur Maharaj, what did Prabhupada say? Then Prabhupada said, where are the crowns for Krishna? Because Krishna did not like pagadi for Krishna so much. So where are the crowns for Krishna? Then Prabhupada said, Krishna likes crowns. Then Prabhupada did not want to Chandrika to put on Radharani's head, because Prabhupada said she is the queen, so she should be dressed like a queen like that. So Prabhupada wrote this in 4th canto, 24th chapter, Snigdha Pravritta Ganashyamam, Sarva Saundarya Sangraham, that there is one verse in that Prabhupada writes, in the beginning we should worship Krishna opulently. Then, we can upgrade ourselves to worshipping Krishna in bhava. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Over.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu Ramru Prabhu, for giving the class. Actually, yeah.
Thank you, Harishan Prabhu. Krishna Kumari has her hand up, followed by
I think-
John Jambhavan.
Yeah, they have
Okay.
questions.
Hare Krishna. Krishna, whatever he desires, no one can stop his desire. So, someone like me might think, well, Krishna wants me to be healthy, but why can my mind stop his desire? I also want to be healthy so I can serve him. But then sometimes every few weeks, the mind just wins. So why can't Krishna just help me be healthy?
There are things, that first thing, how we become devotees, because when Krishna wants us to become devotee. So already Krishna wanted us to become a devotee. But Krishna sees how sincere we are. So the question was raised um, by what's his name? Yaduvar Prabhu. Yaduvar Prabhu, when he was in Delhi in the initial days, all the devotees are falling sick with malaria, jaundice, all that. So in morning walk conversation, Srila Prabhupada, Yaduvar Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you say that devotees are free from karmas and all. They are so why they are falling sick like that? Then Prabhupada said, don't think that simply by putting tilak and kantimala you are Vaishnava. It is very, very difficult to become a Vaishnava. So we should not think like that. When we become Vaishnava, real in the real sense, then all these things apply. But right now we are mixed. We are trying to become Vaishnavas. So Krishna puts us into the test. How much patience we have, how much faith we have. All this, that is why we have to be very patient while practicing devotional service. We should not think that, I have become a devotee, why I am suffering like this. No, it's not like that. It's not so easy to be a Vaishnava. But that is what Prabhupada said. So we should not think like that. Why? It comes, when Krishna starts thinking about us, actually in real sense, when we please the spiritual master utmost. When the spiritual master is very pleased with us, then he will recommend us to Krishna. Then Krishna will reciprocate directly with us. Okay, any other question?
Temple room, John, please.
Yeah, it's a very nice class. I like what you say you have to learn the structure of Krishna first, the Vedas, and then you can go outwards. But my question is, when looking at individual karma, the troubles in the world today, is there such a thing as national karma, where like leaders try to take control of it, like the individuals of people?
The question.
I also couldn't hear. Can you repeat Prabhu question one more time?
Is there such a thing as national karma? Like
Yeah. It's collective. Yeah. Collective karma. When Prabhupada said, when lot of people as a country, when they kill lot of animals in the country, then these wars take place. And then Prabhupada said, somebody asked in 1966, one lecture, one lady, one German lady or somebody, she asked, if God is merciful, why so many people got killed in World War II? Then Prabhupada replied, because people are killing animals, then Krishna brought all of them together and killed them. So yeah, collective karma is there and individual karma is there. So we should be very careful not to get caught in collective karma. We should not become victims of that. Is it okay?
I think the darshan getting started. Yeah.
Thank you, Ramarupa Prabhu. Thank you, Haricharan Prabhu. Wonderful
Prabhu.
class. Darshan time, please turn on your cameras, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Mathuranath Prabhu, stop your car. Hare Krishna. It's a joke. Drive safely.
Very nice.
Lotus feet of us, that's the way. Thousands of lotus feet. Smoke across the ocean of material suffering. Attain the mercy of Krishna. I don't wish to have my knowledge purified. The words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is a perfection that fulfills all desires. Opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. My magnificence is strong. Singing this character. I spiritual master is the ocean of mercy. Friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O master, be merciful. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Three worlds. Take shelter from us. Prabhupada. Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, welcome to the Afterglow. Would anyone like to speak? Would you like to share a realization? Karen?
Isaiah wanted to say Hare Krishna now because we have to get off a little early.
Yes, Isaiah, please.
Belated. Father Krishna.
What a profound realization Isaiah has. Thank you. Thank you, Annabelle. Nice seeing you, Karen family. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Great question, Bhima Prabhu. Great answer, Ramarupa Prabhu. Thank you. Okay. Ramarupa Prabhu, any final instructions for us? Final thoughts?
No. Final thoughts.
I had a question for Ramrupa.
Yeah. Mathurnath Prabhu, please. Thank you.
So I'm wondering if the transition from worshiping Krishna in his
opulent way, and seen as opulence is to feelings arise into bhav. Is that going from Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti? Is this the transition into Raganuga Bhakti where we are feeling more spontaneous in our devotion? And if so, how do we know when to switch our focus as well?
Srila Prabhupada explains in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu that in the beginning we perform Vaidhi Bhakti. I don't want to attend Mangalarti, but I am forced by spiritual master to attend Mangalarti. Then I start attending Mangalarti. That is Vaidhi Bhakti, because I was instructed by the spiritual master or the temple commander. But when I develop a natural attraction for attending Mangalarti without being forced, I start attending Mangalarti. That becomes Vaidhi Raganuga Bhakti. You understand? There is a difference. In the beginning, we are forced to attend Mangalarti Bhagavatam class. We are forced to chant and all. But when we develop attraction for this Vaidhi Bhakti, attending Mangalarti, Guru Puja Bhagavatam class, and chanting our rounds and everything, reading Bhagavatam, that becomes Vaidhi Raganuga Bhakti. So we should transit to Vaidhi Raganuga Bhakti. When we perform this Vaidhi Raganuga Bhakti for a long time, then we will become free from all bodily concept of life. Then naturally we will develop. We'll go to that stage where we should become completely free from bodily concept, no sex desire. When we become completely free from sex desire, that time we can think of all this higher levels of devotional service. Otherwise, till the time, Prabhupada said, somebody who artificially thinks like that, who is Radharani? Oh, she is a wife of my washerman. Wife of a washerman, I remember, like that. So we should become completely free from sex desire. That time we can think of spontaneous devotion service. Otherwise, it becomes artificial.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's a great point. I appreciate that distinction where there's like a Vaidhi Raganuga happening together, and it's not just a big jump. That's really nice. I also really appreciate your point as identifying as a servant rather than just praying can engage me in your service, but really having the identity, I am servant. Then this really switches off. It starts to switch off the I'm the enjoyer mentality to yes, I am servant, and it's actually very much more relishable to chant or do any attempt of service in that conception. I am the servant. Then there's some taste and enthusiasm starts to awaken with this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu's. Bhima Kaviraj, you are unmuted.
Just a quick question. We find that there's all these Sanskrit terms of which I never can, it doesn't stick to the side of my skull, but from Vaidhi to Raganuga, etc., all these terms, all this categorizations of what's going on, and we should be so afraid of the left-hand path. We should be so afraid of actually having a spontaneous feeling towards Krishna because that means we're a faker. And yes, I do understand that to be true. We've all seen them. We've all felt that way sometimes, like, boy, I was being a fanatic or something like that. But Prabhu, what about the fact that that's ultimately what the goal is, to simply simplify ourselves enough that it seems sometimes when we're talking about these relationships, I hear, including myself, the mind is spinning. Like what is the process? What is the procedure? How much do I have to sacrifice? What are the austerities I have to perform? What type of, sadhana do I have to increase in order to get to this spontaneous feeling that a child, a young boy or a young girl has naturally on the playground for a young boy she particularly fancies? This is a natural thing. Obviously, it's reflective in in the material world, but it's reflective of the same spontaneous feeling that if we were simple enough, like children, and understanding Krishna's relationship to us, that why shouldn't we accept that there may be a spontaneous um, feeling that rises us up in us, and that we should be courageous enough to know that we should nurture that spontaneity. That in making a garland, the decision to do it petal by petal rather than flower by flower, um, or in our service throughout the day, to live moment by moment in Krishna rather than day by day in Krishna. These spontaneous and enlightenments that we get, these small little epiphanies, these sparks, why should we be afraid of these things, Prabhu?
Now, Srila Prabhupada explains in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, by the mercy of Krishna, sometimes, we get that ecstasy. We experience that ecstasy. We experience that spontaneity. That is accepted. That is accepted. But in the long run, in the final thing, that after chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, after hearing Bhagavatam, if I am still attracted to mundane sex life, then Prabhupada said that is ludicrous. I know there is one word Prabhupada used. That is ludicrous. Some people they say, "Oh, I am practicing yoga." After that, I am feeling thirsty, and then I want to smoke. So if such mundane thoughts still they come, that means I am far away from that. So both the things are there. Prabhupada accepted that sometimes we get ecstasy, sometimes we feel spontaneity, but that should be permanent. For that, you need a long time practice of Vaidhi Raganuga Bhakti, or Vaidhi Bhakti and Vaidhi Raganuga Bhakti. And then we'll reach that stage. Then when we reach that Nishta, Nishta stage, that is the from that platform we can raise to spontaneous devotion service. So in the Nishta stage, most of the anarthas are gone, unwanted things are gone. So first we should reach the Nishta stage.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. That makes perfect sense. I think the one word ludicrous to think that we actually have love for Krishna at any given time. Um, but it is nice to aspire to, because it's such a sweet thing. In the end, we're not playing harps in the clouds. We're actually at play in the fields of Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Wow, Bhima Prabhu, you are on fire today with your questions. You should be promoted to the Naimisharanya forest and speak there. Thank you. Yeah, Krishna does not want us to drift into this mentality where we think, yeah, I got this. Where's my next epiphany? Where's my next nectar, drop of nectar? Where is it, Krishna? It happened at 7 a.m. last morning, yesterday. I'm entitled to it today. Where is it? So Krishna doesn't want that. Therefore, it's only by Krishna's mercy and by Srila Prabhupada's mercy that we are able to experience these droplets of nectar, like Hari Charan and Ramarupa Prabhu explained so wonderfully. Okay.
I had another
Prabhu,
one
it's low bar.
before we go. One
Hold
more
it.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Mathurnath.
Thank you. So when Prabhupada was on the earth in his physical form, there was a real focus on like spreading this movement. It was like an emergency situation, and devotees were doing very massive amounts of devotional service in terms of spreading the movement. And now the movement has changed where it's kind of settled into people having mostly household life. And we can see that it's not this intensity of devotional service happening where people are completely absorbed, but the goal is to become absorbed, and go from the Vaidhi into the Vaidhi Raganuga, is getting this, we hopefully in this life we can get to this Raganuga Bhakti. Prabhupada said, in this life, go back to Godhead. I heard if we're still practicing Vaidhi Bhakti and we don't have that spontaneous attachment, we can't go to Goloka Vrindavan. We'll only go to Dwarka, where there's that on reverence. So my question is, should householders who are getting older, more retiring, should they be increasing not only maybe their devotional service, but also their amount of rounds? We try to, because Bhaktisiddhanta was saying that the devotees who are fully dedicated, there should be chanting 64 rounds. So should we be trying to increase our rounds to get to these higher stages of bhakti?
Follow your guru. Follow your guru. Prabhupada, somebody said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, in India, they chant 64 rounds on Ekadasi. Prabhupada said, no, 16 rounds. But in India, they chant 64. Prabhupada said, if you want to be my disciple, chant 16 rounds and then vigorously preach. If you want to be my disciple, I'm asking you to chant 16 and then vigorously preach. And I'm so sad to hear you paint the entire movement with the brush of, oh, we've all become old and fat and nobody's fired up. I see so many devotees that are doing 10 times more than I'm doing and are working day and night right by my side and all over the world. Devotees are throwing themselves.
While
Wait a minute, 1 second.
I'm not saying people have
Wait a
become.
minute, just
I'm
a
not
minute,
saying
please.
they become. I'm not saying people have become old and kind of disheveled and no, but the reality is many are there's many that are just really fixed in devotional service like yourself. And but there's many who are actually, they're householders, they're retiring, they're not going out and doing 12 hours of service. So my
Prabhu,
question
can
is
I answer that?
Please.
Sure.
All right. My life, I'm getting old, not getting fat. I'm starting to disappear. But the thing is that, first of all, as far as increasing one's sadhana, one starts to understand that what Ananda Bihari quoted the other day. Ananda Bihari, you can call this verse again to remind us all, whatever you do, whatever sacrifices you perform, whatever you offer, whatever you partake from, whatever conversation you get in, whatever instruction you give, whatever instruction you get, do it for the sake of Krishna. Do it for Krishna. Realize that Krishna is there. So that chanting of 64 rounds, Prabhupada is trying to tell us, when people were preaching and where people were simply having a rag in their hand cleaning the temple room floor, Prabhupada said, this is also chanting. So this idea that there's our mundane life, and then there's sadhana and our spiritual life, that has to be given up. And we have to understand that through lobha, or desire.
Loba, desire for Krishna. Bhima Prabhu says.
Can't hear
Oh,
you.
but we
Looks
gained
like we
Madan
lost
Gopal. We lost Bhima, but we gained Madan Gopal Prabhu. Madan Gopal Prabhu, would you like to speak? Would you like to dissipate our doubts?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Ramru Prabhu, for an amazing class. And thank you, dear devotees, for such wonderful questions. And Bhima Prabhu is back. It's a high bar for low bar, so that he sets. We need a lot of greed for Krishna. And I like, actually, it was a very piercing question. This idea of Krishna, is it the Narayan and opulence that's behind the sweet child Krishna? Actually, it's the other way around. It's a sweet child Krishna who's behind Narayan and his opulences. See? That's the thing, is that when we see that Narayan is the root of or source of Krishna, that's where the confusion begins. It's not that Krishna is Narayan pretending to be a child. Narayan is a tiny spark of that child Krishna, who's getting his job done for the material manifestation.
Not tiny spark.
Once you see that perspective, things get a lot clearer. Hare Krishna.
I want to add something to Madhuranath Prabhu's thing. Once one devotee, Mahaman Prabhu, asked the Prabhupada, your spiritual master says, unless somebody chants 64 rounds, he is fallen. But you are telling us to chant 16 rounds? Then Srila Prabhupada replied, my Guru Maharaj will take his disciples from the front door of Golok Vrindavan. I will take my disciples from the back door of Golok Vrindavan. So 16 rounds, but I insist, my personal experience, that in order to increase your sadhana, you must increase the remembrance of Krishna. Shravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam. These three things. In the beginning, Shravanam, then Kirtanam, and then we should go on to the stage of Smaranam. So that's what Srila Prabhupada writes, that in Krishna book, Prabhupada writes in 21st chapter, when the gopis are sitting at home, they are thinking how Krishna is walking. There is one beautiful verse, Barha Pidam Natvarvapuhu Karnayo Karnikaram. So that is the description of Krishna's beauty while walking on the streets of Vrindavan. So when the gopis are thinking of Krishna walking like that, so that is samadhi. So Prabhupada insisted that we should actually think about Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's beauty. So we should increase the remembrance of Krishna. That is the instruction of Krishna in 8th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Tasmat sarvesh kaleshu mamanasmaridracha. So Mayarpita Manobuddhir Mamevasyasya Asamshaya. So this Smaranam aspect, we should reach that stage of Smaranam also. So that's what Prabhupada wrote in 7th canto, 5th chapter, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, that purport. In the Smaranam stage, Prabhupada writes, there are 5 stages of Smaranam, how we have to do research on Krishna's pastimes and all that, So we should actually increase the remembrance of Krishna while doing other works also. So that way we can actually quickly progress. So whether it is Grihastha, whether it's a Grihastha, Sannyasi, or we should remember Krishna. While chanting Hare Krishna also, we don't remember Krishna and his pastimes.
You're saying we do remember his pastimes while chanting?
You read 7th canto, 5th chapter.
Yes.
Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So Prabhupada right, mentions about that.
Yes, and actually Hari Prasad Prabhu recently in a class described, he's saying no matter what phase we're in our bhakti, we should be reading Krishna Lila every day.
Yeah.
We should hearing Krishna Lila every day. This is so important. So the Smaranam starts to awaken.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're going to end on this high note. Krishna Lila every day.
Yeah.
Krishna Lila every moment, every breath. Thank you very much, Aturnath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Ramarupa Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Hari Charan Prabhu was preparing to give this class all month, and he gave the floor to Ramarupa.
Hare Krishna.
This is Vaishnava etiquette. Okay, Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. We love you. We need you. Thank